Just watch the screen, everybody. I'm an economist, a statistician at heart, he says. I'm happiest with numbers. You can trust numbers. They're honest. There's no mystery or deception or allegory. You know where you stand. So what you see is what you get, and we end it there. So this is like your perfect script, you guys, when you're dealing with sellers, right? You want to be able to give them facts and not your opinion. The biggest problem we have, I think, as agents, we're trying to convince people. We're trying to use our emotions to tug up their emotions to convince them to do something. You'll never win. You just never will win unless that person, you know them very well and you know how to manipulate it, which I wouldn't do. I don't believe in manipulating. I believe in facts. So again, here you have it, right? You can trust numbers. So Mr. Seller, you can trust numbers. They're honest. There's no mystery. There's no deception. You know where you stand. What you see is what you get with these comps that we're going to show you today. Okay, let's go to the next one, Brian. So what do clients really want? When dealing with sellers, they really want maximum profit. They think they want a lower commission fee, but that's not the case. They actually want maximum profit, and I'm going to show you a genius way to get there with your clients, right? They're looking at the cost of sale, which is your commission. I want you to help them focus on profit. When you're dealing with buyers, they want a home, they want an investment at the lowest price. They think they want a rebate, they think they want a kickback, right? So let's go to the next one, Brian. Just remember, lower commission does not mean more profit, and I'm going to show you how that's done. So when you're dealing with clients, you've got to know who you're in front of. And you also have to choose who you want to work with. Remember, you don't have to take every client. Sometimes that no will lead you to the right yes. So METs, what Keller Williams refers to as METs, includes what I call social media people. METs usually trust you. They follow your success on social media and in person. They like what you stand for. They like what they see on social media most of the time. And they believe in the quality of your work, assuming that you're posting your work on social media. Remember, perception is reality. And I'm going to show you later on how that played out for me. With the unmets, Keller Williams speaks about the mets and the unmets. The unmets, they think all realtors are the same. They believe houses will sell themselves. They think realtors are overpaid. They are talking to multiple agents, and they may be looking to pay the lowest commission. That could be true of some of your METs as well, okay? So these are the people in your social media, in your just period, in your life. Now go to the left of the screen there and you see a takeaway. This is so important. The takeaway is that social media is a powerful tool in building relationships. You actually get to control how people see you and demonstrate the quality, and you get to demonstrate the quality of your work. And you get them to see how you actually perform when you're selling a property. So let's go to the next one, Brian. So when you meet with clients, what you've got to do is build trust, right? You can come at them with facts, but you've got to build trust. And the way I build trust is by giving them facts, not my opinion. It's not enough to charm somebody. It's not enough to tell them how wonderful their house looks. It's not enough to tell them how cute their kids are. All of that may be true, but that's not what's going to get them to trust you. You want to show them that they matter and that you value them by 1, listening carefully, and 2, asking the right questions. So this is something that you learn. If you're a new agent, you will learn how to ask the right questions. If you are a long-time agent, you might need to learn how to listen carefully. Because the more we know, the more we want to share. And sometimes what we need to do is really just kind of quiet down and listen to what the client is saying. Ask enough questions. Let them know that you're interested in them and what they want for the outcome. and give facts, not your opinion, okay? So you want to show comps, you want to share net sheets. Net sheets are based on comps. So if you don't know what comps and net sheets and market stats are, that's okay. We have a couple amazing coaches here within Keller Williams at our office, and I know they're elsewhere as well. If you're in our office and you want to talk to somebody and get up to speed on these things, speak with Mark Burstein and also speak with Roberta, okay? And I know that Mark's on the call, so if you have questions, put them in the chat box. And Mark, maybe you can share your information there as well, please.
I'll monitor the chat box for you, absolutely. So people, if you have questions, I'll be happy to respond.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna let Mark respond to the questions as they come up in the chat box. He will flag me because I'm not looking at any of that right now. So Mark's monitoring that. So you want to give facts, right, guys? You want to speak with confidence and you want to be the expert by coming prepared with facts. So I know right now on this feed, in this class, we've got multiple people who do script practicing, and they've been doing this since shelter in place. And I know they're getting better because I'm starting to see results. Those are people, I've got people on my team like Kenny Hahn has been doing that, Brian Lee. I know Randy Land has been doing that as well with the team. So folks, if you need to improve in these areas and you want to speak with confidence, you've got to attend your script practice, or you've got to practice on your own, okay? So let's move to the next one, Brian. So let's just get right to the meat of it, right? The common commission objections that we have. Seller objection number one is, I want a discount on your commission fee. What they're saying is that you're not worth it. That's their nice way of saying, I don't think you're worth that money, right? I deserve that money. I deserve your money. The buyer objection side of things, they say, other agents will give me a rebate. They just don't see our value, right? So let's move to the next one, Brian. Let's jump in and see how I handle this. You want to get their focus on the net profit, not on your fees. Again, 3 slides down, you're going to see exactly how I did that. I got them off of my fees and focused on the net profit. And this is because you're looking out for your client. You want what's best for them. If they focus on your fees, they're not going to do themselves any justice. They're probably going to make a bad decision in hiring. You want to isolate the objection. So other than my commission fee, is there any other reason why you will not hire me today? Mark Burstein, is there any other reason why you wouldn't hire me today other than the fees?
You want to isolate that objection. Very well done, Yvette.
Okay, so I just want to check in. Mark's going to play my other side. So Mark's going to say no?
No.
Okay, so focus them on the net profit by determining the sales price, like I talked about, reviewing the comps with them, and walk them through the net sheet so that you can review their cost of sales. And you want to show them a commission menu. You're going to see what I do next in the next slide. You want to show them a listing system outline, services that you will provide. Ours is 3.5 pages long. You don't think that after seeing your listing system outline and all the work that you put in and the checklist that you use, that they're not going to go, wait a minute, I thought I just stuck a sign in the front lawn and people show up at the door. No, there's a lot more that you have to do. So you want to show them the amount of work a proper agent would execute, how they would execute the listing, right? So we use a NoteJoy system. And again, if anybody wants a copy of that, give us a call. Just keep in mind that because we have people from different agencies here, I know that you might use other systems as well. We also use Command. So Command is our CRM within Keller Williams that we have really, it's just kind of blown up because it actually runs the transaction for us. It's really powerful. It has all the listing system, tells you what to do next, basically. So if you're interested, again, talk to Mark Burstein about that. And you want to review their options. So let's go to the next page to show you how I review options with them. This is just wonderful tool. You want to give them a commission menu. Now, this is a sample commission menu. Keep in mind, you can have one that says 6%, one that says 5.5%, one that says 5%. I would never go any lower. 6, 5.5, and 5. Why do I say you start with 6? When I came on Keller Williams 5 years ago, I had a mentor, and the mentor I said to the mentor, so what are the fees? What do we charge? And she said 6%. Guess what, folks? I believed her. So in my head, it's 6%. You've got to get it in your head what your fees are and what you're worth, right? Don't you get mad when you hear that somebody's doing the same job as you are and has the same amount of experience or the same talent or has the same backing of the same company, and they're getting paid more than you? So we want to really make sure that we're keeping the standard where it should be. 6% is what I look at. So it's 6% menu. I've got staging up to $4,000 is what I'll pay for. I pay for the photography, a drone included. I will also pay for tour factory video. I pay for my marketing, which is your brochures. I pay for the organizing, which is 8 hours. I've got to tell you, I've only had one person ever use this. So you may look at this and go, oh my gosh, that's a lot coming out of my fees. Well, some people don't even use the organizing service. I will pay for cleaning up to $500. So keep in mind that that $500 fee there, the most I've ever paid for cleaning is actually $400, and that was on that home needed a lot of work on it. So again, I want to make sure it's covered, so I put that in there, but it doesn't mean that you're actually paying this much. Maybe your stager only charges you $2,500. I don't know. I actually have a really fantastic stager who I use for, and when I have a single family home, I have paid $5,200 for staging. And for me, it's worth it. And then the property and pest inspections, which total about $1,100 if you're using somebody like Home Guard, or even if you're not. There's some other companies that'll do it for less, but I put down here that it's up to $1,100. And then 5.5%, I say staging up to $2,500, photography, no drone included, because that actually does cost extra with my photographer. Still the tour factory video, still the marketing. Organizing gets cut in half to 4 hours. Cleaning gets cut in half to $250, and the client pays for the inspection. Okay, so you can see that this commission fee is really an important thing to present to clients. Why? Because people love options. I love options. When I go into a restaurant, when I go into a store, I recently bought a Peloton bike. I wanted to see the options, and so this is something they want. And then they're also seeing how much work goes into it. Remember, as you're speaking about these things, you want to just do these mini closes, and you also want to inform. So when you're talking about the staging, you want to remind them that the National Association of Realtors says that staged homes sell 80% faster at 10% more. You want to show them examples of professional photos versus unprofessional photos. This is where you're selling. You're not just laying down information, a menu, but you're also backing up why they should use you by giving them some more information. Then you also want to continue to build out your service offerings. Maybe there are more things that you've thought of that should go on this. Think about it at the open houses, right? On mine, so this is not my full menu, but this is all that would fit on here. But normally we have open houses, and there we have tours, evening tours, things like that. So remember, you want to start with the maximum amount of commission because you're worth it. I can't remind you enough that you're worth it. So you've got to remind yourself of that. And remember, there's also a friends and family rate as well. So there's a friends and family rate. So I want you to be aware that sometimes I will say to my clients, instead of the 6% rate, I'm going to give you 5.5% because you're a friend or you're a family member. Or instead of the 5.5% rate, I'm going to give you 5%. The same reason. It depends on what they want. At the 5% rate, you're not paying for much, right? Or I'm sorry, you're paying for everything practically at the 5% rate. So let's move on to the next one. So this is where it kind of gets exciting for most people because you want to look at commission examples. So let's take a look at a few of them. Let's go back to one that I did in 2018, closed in January. It sold for 1.25 million. And this was so amazing. So I got this particular listing opportunity because I sold another house in River Rock, and my clients who were also really close friends took a preemptive offer. So we didn't have to do the open house. They were just so incredibly sweet. And the next day, which should have been the open house day, they actually took my brochure, put labels on the brochure that said, you know, my name, number, all the stuff. It just said that I sold their home recently. And so they took it around and handed this out to their neighbors. And this particular neighbor called me and said, we're interested. Come and visit with us. And then I walked in the house, and from front to back, you could hardly move through the house. They'd lived there 35 years. And remember, we're in the business also of helping people. That's one of the reasons why I love what we do. We get to help people. So I saw this as an opportunity to help a couple that was retiring and moving to Texas. And they were trying to figure out, how do I get rid of all this stuff? How do I choose what I keep? We're not physically able to pack all of this, to move this around. So we hired somebody. It was an agent who didn't have his licenses yet, now has his license. And he worked overtime with them 5 days a week to get this place cleaned up and cleared out. And then they wanted me to manage the rehab of the house. So I negotiated an extra 0.5% for doing that because they were going to be nowhere in sight, moved to Texas, and I was going to handle all of the contract work. So here's the interesting that happened. I ran the cost sheets and I showed them that what their profit would be. It would be basically minus whatever money they put in to the contract, sorry, it's not the right way to say it, whatever they put into the rehab of the home. It also would have been the commission, the cost of sale, right? And anything else they paid along the way, like they paid the person who was helping them daily additional money aside from this. So I was paying very little out of my pocket for that person, and they paid 80% of that person's pay for assisting them daily, right? They didn't have a mortgage, and they moved to Texas, and we received a preemptive offer. They decided they didn't want to do the rehab. I offered them the 0.5% back. They didn't want it. They thought we did a great job. So they said, keep the 6.5%, which 2.5% went out. I got 4%, right? So my share of that 4% was $50,000. They didn't bat an eye, guys. They were just so happy to have somebody who came in, spoke confidently, and said, and showed an outline of exactly what we were going to do for them. So if you come in and you're just telling people and you're not leaving any material that leaves people, understanding how much work you put into it, that's not great. You want to get prepared again. So I know, once again, there are people on here who are not from Keller Williams. If you're with us, call Mark Burstein. He can help take you on and guide you through the process of becoming a better agent. Okay? He does our coaching here, as well as being a broker. So then then other people who are not with our company, you have mentors within your company that you can use. And if you can't find one, again, reach out to Mark. Let's talk. So the next thing I want you to be aware of is the Cupertino listing. That one I negotiated 5.5%. This one, I want you to listen very carefully to it. So 6% service level is what I gave them because this is the friends rate. How did I meet? I'm going to call her Nancy. How did I meet Nancy? So Nancy and I met one time at a party, 5 minutes conversation. Other than that, in the last 6 years, we've been friends on Facebook. I believe I friended her. She accepted it. She and my husband knew each other from triathlon days and marathon days, and they were in the same, sphere. So I just would like her pictures from time to time. I was very interested in some of the things that she was interested in, so I make comments on her Facebook page from time to time. And then last year, I received a Facebook message from her, and she asked me if we could meet because she was interested in selling her house. She made it clear to me that she was interviewing multiple agents. When I got there, I asked her if she, I asked her if it was, somebody's unmuted. Sorry, I'm getting feedback. So, apologize. That just went a little crazy there for me and what I was hearing. So she told me that she liked who I was. And I found that interesting because she has known me for 5 minutes ever. She'd actually sat with me. But through Facebook, she thought she knew me. Through social media, she thought she knew me. And she listed all these things about me. And I was actually really kind of moved. She actually knew who I was. She knew what I stood for. She knew what I believed in. She knew that I didn't like people being unkind on my page. I would take you off in a heartbeat if you were mean. That's not who I was, and I didn't allow it. I also believed in the environment. She has a passion for the environment. I have been struggling to get fit my whole life. She was a fit person, so of course I admired that. So there was a connection that we made. But the thing I want you to understand is when she sat in front of me, the things she said about me, she actually spoke as if she knew me, but we'd only been around each other for 5 minutes. So your social media is so very important. Be careful what you're posting on your social media. If you don't care, you don't care. That's fine. That might just be who you are, which is okay. Just realize, though, that a lot of your business can come from social media. I will say that I've got over 50% of my businesses come from social media. A lot of times from people who I don't spend much time with. Okay, so that listing just went on, and so we're waiting. We put it on at 1.35 million, and so we're in the middle of that transaction of hopefully picking up a buyer. The next one, let's go to that one. The next one was a referral from the previous person, right? From Nancy. So while Nancy hasn't done any business with me as yet, she refers me. And I bring this property on at 6%, met with this couple, and this couple didn't know me from Adam. And so when you tell me that, oh, they've got to know you in order to allow you to charge them 6%, I disagree. Absolutely not. You have to walk in there and you've got to have your ducks in a row. You've got to have your listing presentation. Don't make it your typical listing presentation. Really focus on the menu, focus on giving them solid information. That's what they're going to believe. Remember what I spoke about in that video up front. They want facts. You can always argue with facts, right? But the truth of the matter is, in the end, facts win. My opinion, your opinion is not going to win. And I'm going to make that very clear to my clients. So it's how you speak to them too, with confidence and kindness, right? So this one, I gave them the option. There was no friends and family right here. This was a brand new opportunity. I met with them and I said, okay, here's what you get for 6%. Now, here a mini close that you want to say along the way is, so 6%, I write all the checks. And you don't have to worry about meeting the people out here. I take care of all of that. I'll meet all the service people. I'll meet the inspectors. I'll handle everything. At 5.5%, you might have to write multiple checks. We might have to make some arrangements along the way with you involved. So which one do you want? And remember, you're giving them options. So the first thing the husband said to me was, I know exactly which one I want. I don't want to be bothered. He was a chiropractor, right? So the chiropractor says, I'm busy all day long. I don't want to deal with this. She was a hairdresser. And so she also didn't want to deal with it. So this one, I listed at 1.298, I believe it was. 1.3 is what you have here, Brian. And it sold for 1.457. So that was a 6% commission, 87,420. My side of it was 3.5%. I paid 2.5% out, right? Again, got great reviews from Rick and Donna, and they moved off to Gardner, Nevada, and are living happily there. So let's move to the last one there. That one sold in the middle of the pandemic. So keep in mind too, the one right above that sold in the middle of the pandemic. So we went shelter in place on the Monday. I took offers on a Wednesday and Thursday. Everybody that showed up to our open house that weekend had a mask on, every single person. And we weren't even shelter in place because there'd been a talk about the pandemic for a month and a half before that. So it was a nervous time, needless to say. And we received 11 offers and we went $157,000 over asking. It was actually $158,000 over asking. And again, 3.5% on my side was $59.95. Then let's go to the last one. This one was actually friends of mine. And they were going to be moving to Pittsburgh in the middle of the pandemic. So this one, I couldn't even visit their house regularly. Whenever they had a service person over, they had to handle it. So they had the roof repaired. We did get the inspections in, we did get the inspections in before we're shelter in place. So I got the inspections done in March. I think it was March 12th. And then in April, they had to have all this work done on the house and they had to handle all of that. They had the friends and family rate. I just helped them purchase this house a year previously, 1 year. They got the house for $1.2 million. And when we took a look at the comps in the area, it was about 1.25 to 1.3, somewhere in there. So we ended up with 5 offers. Again, this is in the middle of April, in the latter part of March, and it closed 21 days in April. We chose a lower offer. We did not choose the highest offer, which was 1.31 million. And the reason why we didn't choose the highest offer is because the highest offer had all 3 contingencies: property, appraisal, and loan. And the other thing that it, the other thing that it had was a longer close of escrow time. Keep in mind, my clients have already moved to Pittsburgh. They want security. They want to know that this thing is going to close. The $1.28 million offer was a 10-day contingency on the loan, 0 days on the appraisal, and 0 on property. Closed in 21 days, and it did. Actually, this is one of those lenders I put in my pocket because I thought they really performed well, right? So again, 5.5%. My share of it was 3%. They got full service. So even though they got a 5.5%, they got a full service level at 6% because they were friends. So they got the friends and family rate. And let's face it, folks, they just purchased from me a year before, right? So it was really wonderful that they did that. So let's move on to the next one. So this relates in particular to how I address, go back, Brian, one more. So the second commission in there, 5.5%, I'm sorry, 5.5%. When I met with my friend said, I'm looking at 2 agents. I'm looking at Redfin and I'm looking at a known agent. So now jump forward, Brian. So this is what I showed up with. So I decided to take the agent's name out of here. But he's well known. If I said his name, you'd all know who he is. And he typically sends out a postcard that says that he will do 3% or 3.5%. He pays 2% or 2.5% out, and he'll either keep 1% or 1.5%. So he relies upon a mass amount of business, and it's not necessarily a very personal business style. So I said to my client, I said, so tell me why you're interested in using him. Remember, ask questions and listen. And she said, well, it's really very simple. I see his flyers all the time. They show up in my mailbox all the time. So I know he's doing a lot of business. I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. So she equated a lot of mailers as doing a lot of business. Now, we all know that that's not true, but I want you to think about that and keep that in your back pocket if you can afford to do mailers. Secondly, she said, I see signs all over. Well, he's got multiple listings. So that part is very true. So I said to her, have you ever visited any of his listings? And she said, yes. Said, I think he sells a lot in here. And I said, okay, let's take a look at that. Well, perception is reality, right? Because I got to tell you folks, this is the only property he's ever sold in her complex. But she had in her mind, her mindset was that he does a lot of business there. This was the only one we could find. And I looked back quite some time, and this is it. So I want you to focus on that original price, 1.778, right? So he listed it high, and she goes, yeah, but he gets high dollars for his listings. And I go, okay. Have you ever seen him at one of his open houses? She said, think about it. No, I never have. So this particular agent uses a lot of assistants, or he uses other people, other agents from another brokerage to help him out. Again, nothing wrong with that. It gives us opportunity. But she mentioned to me that she was looking for very personal service. Said, okay, so do you want your agent at the open houses, or do you want people on their team at the open houses? Said yes. Now the agents, there's no agents on his team, by the way. What he has is assistants. So they can't discuss dollars. So I actually have agents, and they're people on our team. So our team will sit that open house. Our team will do that, especially if it's somebody who's picky, extremely picky, like she was. Other people, if we're busy, we invite other people from our brokerage to sit the open houses. So after 24 days, he reduced the price from 1.778 to 1.649. Okay. So that was after 24 days of being on market. After 93 days, he sold it for $200,000 below asking. That's not necessarily a problem, right? As long as it meets market standard. But what I did next was I went back to the market standard and looked at what sold in her complex there within plus or minus 6 months. And it was not. It was actually one of the lowest prices for a 3-bedroom. So this is how you knock out that agent very quickly and say, this is what you thought you were going to get top dollar? Aren't you looking for top dollar? Because I listened to her, and up front she said, I want top dollar. And I said, okay, what's that top dollar? We talked about that, what the range was on it. So you want to use everything they've said and remind them again as you're taking them through this. This is your discount agent at 1.5% and 1%. How did that savings work out for you? Right? So they stop and they go, something to evaluate. Let's go to the next one. Now, this is the next one she said she loved was Redfin. So I said, okay, let's take a look at these properties. By the way, I put in fictional road here, and you can see on the map, it's on Wolf Road. So 1413 Wolf Road and 1401 Wolf Road. You can look these up. So the top one, and by the way, I've been in both of these properties. I actually know the person personally who owns the property that's on at the top property. So I have been in that property. It's actually really beautifully updated to mid-century standard. These are Eichler homes. And so mid-century update is what you really want to do in an Eichler home, right? So that's what they did. So first thing they did was they decided that they were going to list it on their own for 30 days. Why? Because they're super smart people. Silicon Valley is full of extremely smart people. And sometimes extremely smart people think that they're so smart that they can do your job. So you're going to show them that that's not true, right? By this example. So here's what the Redfin agent did. The Redfin agent came on after 30 days and it sat for another 106 days. Now this property came on in May at a time when I actually sold a house in Sunnyvale at this time frame for $1.8 million and got $150,000 over asking, ended up with 13 offers. And that was another one where we did not take the top dollar. So it should have sold, if they had put it on in May, it should have sold for top dollar. Now keep in mind that that first house, 1413 Fictional or Wolf Road, that particular house was in better condition, had a better update than the other one. And don't let pictures fool you. Now the footprint itself, the house was the same square footage, exactly the same square footage, same layout. The other property, though, that sold for more did have 1,000 square foot bigger lot. However, most of that was on the side and really wasn't very useful. So let's take a look at the KW agent. It was Juliana Lee, by the way, from Palo Alto, and she sold it in 9 days. She sold it for $170,000 over asking. So one sold for 1.65 million, one sold for 1.85 million. They're one house down from the other one, or two houses down. There's one house in between both of these houses, right? There's no way that the first house should not have sold for just as much. It is in way better condition. And I can personally attest to that. The house in between both of these houses, by the way, belongs to a very good friend of mine, so I hang out there all the time. I know these houses very well. So this is why this is such an exciting example for you, because I'm not going off of what somebody told me, but what I actually saw with my own eyes. So let's take a look at the difference in sales price. $200,000, Redfin fee at 4% listing fee is $66,000, KW fee 5% listing fee, $92,500. The difference being $26,500, folks. Now I want you to think about that, right? The seller saved $26,500, but they lost out on $200,000 more in sales. So this is what you've got to do. You've got to show facts, right? Just this alone, I remember there was somebody, I don't know if she's on here or not, but Amanda called me up so excited after this presentation. She went out and did a listing agreement and she told me that she got her first listing, I think it was at 5.5%. That was exciting for me to see her actually execute this and get the job done. So take a look at the after fees. This is what I was talking about. You want to focus them on profit, not on your commission. If they focus on $92,500, of course they're going to freak out. But if you focus them on the fact that they can get an additional $173,500, tell me that that is not winning, guys. Tell me that that's not something that you want to present to your clients, right? So Brian, let's jump to the last one. So the last one has to do with buyers, how I deal with buyers. I'm kind of horrible about this. I don't give a ton of attention to people who want rebates. I just don't do it. So when I was writing an offer, my client said to me, that the previous agent that he was working with was going to give him a rebate. Would I give him a rebate? This is right as I'm about to put in the offer. So I've been touring him for 3 months. He never says anything to me about a rebate. And then he slides that in there once he finds the property. And guys, I got to tell you, I looked up at him and I said, no, I don't do that. And I looked back down and I continued writing. And then he said something else, right? So he said, but why not? Those other agents do it. I said, did those other agents get you a house? No, I will. Do you want the house or you want the discount? Because that hasn't worked out very well for you so far. Remember, you get what you pay for. I'm going to get you in this house. Today, we're going to get this contract accepted. Hopefully, we don't have to do any back and forth. I was certain of it that I could, because this house had fallen out of contract. And by the way, it was that discount agent I was talking to you about. And I knew he would just take an offer. He wasn't going to negotiate at all. So I came in right at list price, and I gave it to him, and he accepted it. My client was in seventh heaven. I got to tell you, I've got a client for life. He took me out for a celebration dinner, me and my husband. We've become very close friends. I'm at all of his daughter's birthday parties, because this is all about relationship for me, right? It's about relationship and helping people. That's the business we're in. So if you really care about people, you want to give them facts. So that's how I do business. This is how I handle things with sellers and buyers. Now, I want to give you some other responses that you can get, right? You can give other responses, such you can develop a menu that works for the buyer's agents as well. So you want to develop a menu and show them every single thing that you're going to do for them. And at the bottom, you want to put down, and the bonus is, you don't pay me a dime. That's where you leave it, you know? The other part of it that you can say, there's so many responses, but this is something I've had to say to one other person. I had to say, let me ask you a question. Say the name of the person was Charlie. Let me ask you a question, Charlie. When you work for your employer, if he asked you for a rebate, would you give that rebate? Would you give that part of your paycheck? They say no. Said, absolutely not. You know why? Because you work for it. You earned it. I'm the same way. I promise you this. I'm going to work really hard for you, and I'm going to earn every bit of it. And at the end of it, by the way, I always give a really nice bonus present of a Ring doorbell. I look forward to celebrating with you. So that's it, folks. That's the way I do it. So